And here we go. We are officially live, broadcasting only on onedealaway.com. This is Money Matters. My name is Nev, and today is post-election day. That's right. So we are, of course, going to talk about it. Nope, we don't have results. Yes, I'm sure you're fully aware. Some of you might be still up since yesterday, waiting for the results, hoping to see if we're going to find out. And from everything that I can see, it's going to be a little while longer. So we don't have a winner yet. We are still counting and counting and counting. And the counting is going to continue until it's completed. And of course, we don't have a winner, so we don't know who's going to win. But today, we're going to take a look at the election results, kind of where we stand, just a brief recap. I'm sure you've been watching this, so you know much more than I do of what's happening over there. We're going to be looking at how typically stock markets have reacted in the past when it comes to the election results, so we can take a look into that stuff to prepare ourselves emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, however you want to prepare yourself. We're going to be looking at what's going on, what markets have been performing really well, and I think you're going to be super intelligently informed to know exactly what we're talking about over here. Then we're going to be covering this guy over here. Yes, and I'm going to share with you exactly why that is important. We're going to be talking about crypto and the SEC rules. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about what's happening with Alibaba Group and why Alibaba dumped yesterday, like a big fat dump, well over 8% dump. So lots to talk about. If you're here for the money, for the education, for the all kinds of cool things when it comes to business, money, finance, investing, real estate, crypto, this is a show for you. Let's do this. And good morning. I think it's Wednesday. It is Wednesday, November 4th. My gosh, time flies when you're having a good time. Before you know it, Thanksgiving is going to be here. Before you know it, it's going to be Christmas and other winter holidays and New Year's, and then it's 2021. Many people have been awaiting that. Unfortunately, I think Corona is coming with us. I don't think she wants to stay stuck in 2020, so I think she's going to move along with us, which is the unfortunate piece, but that's where it is. All right, enough jokey jokes. I do want to welcome everybody watching this live on onedealaway.com/live. If you are here, make sure you sign in if you haven't already. If you don't have an account, make sure you sign up for that. It is absolutely free, and the cool piece is you get a free course out of the whole thing. That's right, a full-fledged Crypto 101 course you get just for signing up. And of course, at the end of the show, you can go in, say hello. You can say hello whenever, but at the end of the show, we're going to go into the Q&A as always. If you're watching this on YouTube or elsewhere, make sure you do a few things for me, please. Number one, smash the like button right now. Number two, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And number three, if there are notifications, make sure you hit them. Make sure you set it to all, so that way you get notified every time video goes live. You're fully aware, and you can keep up with what's going on in this crazy and fast-paced world. All right, so election results. As you can see, well, it's mixed. It's mixed. So Biden seems to be leading slightly, but Trumpster is close behind. Nope, we don't want this. Thank you very much. As you can see, we're still awaiting results from some key states, and they kind of have them shaded of what they think is going to happen, but it's not quite decided. They're still counting. They're going to continue to count. And of course, if you've been watching stuff, Trump is saying, this is a crime. Stop counting. Stop counting. Just give me the votes. Which, people, of course, say, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep on counting, my friend. Sorry to tell you that. But, we still don't know. It may be later on today when we find out. And it may be a few days, even few weeks. Like I've been saying, it could take a little while longer. Trump already has said that he's going to go to the courts for this stuff. So anyways, the craziness has already begun. People are already out there, partying or not partying, not quite sure what to do. And when it comes to the markets, let's take a look at what is going on. Of course, we can't look at the live markets because, well, they're not open, but we can look at the futures. And as you can see, S&P 500 is actually up. It's been up for the past couple of days. The same story is happening. No, not for Dow Jones, not for Jones. Jones is doing. It's down slightly, although it's still showing in the green. I don't know why it's showing in green, but showing down. But it seems like it's slightly down. The interesting piece is Nasdaq. Nasdaq has jumped up well over 2%, and it's holding that. Look how high this puppy has gone. And take a look at the crude oil. Crude oil is also up 2.58%. It's been climbing ever since Sunday. So this entire week has been very bullish for oil. Gold, unfortunately, has gone lower, negative 1.03%. And as you can see, it was doing really well Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. And then, boom, last night it started to basically go down. Treasury notes, well, they are actually up yet one more time. So look at this. We've had this Monday, we kind of came a little bit down, and we've been going up, up, up. So that means that the bond prices will go down, down, down. And volatility is down, was down yesterday. Here we go, almost 10%. Yikes, 9.64%. So ouch, that absolutely hurts. But, here is the news of what we can expect. What can we expect in the election results? So let's take a look at what's been going on. Well, the markets, what is going to do? What is going to happen? Are we going to go up if Trump is reelected, or, is Biden going to be the one to make that happen? So this is the move right over here that the past five election. Sorry, let's try this again. The past 5 presidential elections didn't evoke extreme market reactions, with Barack Obama first triumph in 2008 a notable exception. So the election will define 4 years, and of course this is we don't really know what's going to be happening in the market. So S&P 500 dropped 10% in the first 2 days after the election, back when Obama was elected. But here is how in the past we have reacted to it. So when W was selected, we've actually dumped 5.9%. Then in 2004, you can actually see, and that's of course over the course of 10 days, right? So they're counting in a 10-day period. 2004, Bush was elected again, but then he was up 3.97%. Interesting. Barack Obama elected, we went down 14.58% in 10 days. Ouch. But one thing to also keep in mind is that 2008 was also when we were kind of going into that whole like kaboom with the banks and the real estate and the financial markets and everything else, right? Then in 2012, Obama wins again, but he's down yet again, negative 2.84%. In 2016, when Donald Trump won, over the course of 10 days, we were up 2.96%. However, an interesting piece to keep in mind is that his victory 4 years ago was an interesting one. It was announced right around 4 o'clock in the morning. I was hoping maybe we would have the same thing happen this year, that my prediction that it would take way longer this time around would be wrong, and that we would actually know. But I was right, and so we still don't know. So Trump victory turns 4 years ago did prompt an extreme market reaction overnight. So what happened? We had a 1,000-point crash in the Dow futures, followed by an even bigger rebound before the market opened the next day. I mean, it was just one of those, talk about fast V-shaped recoveries. That was a fast V-shaped recovery. And then, of course, after that initial insanity, S&P 500 drifted just 1.1% on post-election day and continue its upward trend that we've been seeing and we've been watching ever since, minus the minor blip that we had in March, which may or may not repeat. Nobody knows, not even I, not even anybody else that you can watch, not even Trumpster that sometimes I think he says things that he's like, "No, I know this." I'm like, "You can't. Nobody knows this, man. Nobody knows this. Come on, give me a break." But anyways, so, what are the businesses? We've been talking about, getting into business, and you might be thinking of like, oh man, is this a good time to get in business? Not the good time to get into business. Many people are actually starting their own businesses right now in this downturn, in this pandemic, and it's been known that, some of the most profitable, well known, favorite brand names have been started in the roughest of the times. And so, could it be a good time? Of course. Any time is a good time, in my humble opinion, to start a business. So you might be wondering, oh man, what do I do? Definitely don't want to open a restaurant for obvious reasons, right? At least not right now. Maybe in a few years, but not right now. Definitely don't want to be a hotel or an airline company because that's just not working right now, right? But what do I do? What do I do? Tech, if you are good with tech or somebody who's developing tech, you can, I guess, always invest or co-invest with them and, kind of do it that way. So that could be a way to do it. Or you could do this. You can get into booze and drugs and, well, sex. They didn't talk about it, but apparently sex, adult stores are profitable, extremely, extremely profitable these days. Hey, you got to find ways to entertain yourself, right? So here's what's going on with the alcohol sales. Alcohol sales are up 25% since March, and that came no surprise. But identity of the best-selling beer is Corona. That's right. Corona drinkers love it, and something calling a hangover after drinking a lot of Corona, a Corona virus. So, and of course, people think it's funny. I don't know if you think it's funny or not, but there you go. That's where they have it. So, basically, the merchant that the individual talked about with said that the only limitation on his Corona sales was lack of inventory, meaning running out. So, cerveza is good and it's served cold, and people are having fun with the whole thing. Now, one of the things that talking to another major distributor is also same story, 25% across the board. And what sells? They're saying anything in a can or bottle. Customers are buying it. So there you go. If you're thinking potentially getting into the business, this could be a great, great, great thing to get into the business. Alcohol as one of the things that people are just sort of craving, right? Alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and adult toys. And the cool part about if you go with the alcohol store and stuff, as long as you're selling some chips, that means you're selling food. That means you're essential business, which means no shutdown for you. And if you are in a country or a state that could potentially deliver, even better. So there you go. You don't even have to worry about people walking in. You can just go in and deliver, meaning you can actually even provide some jobs. And who knows, if they roll out another PPPPPPE, you could benefit from that. So if this is not of your liking, you're like, I don't know about TechNev. I don't know about, going into financial services because that's just not my thing, because it's kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm not understanding crypto, so I'm going to stay away from that, although we're going to talk about crypto, so you might understand it even more, because that could be another great way to get into the business. So you're thinking, my moral compass and booze don't really align. I can't do that. Yes, I know it's profitable, but I can't do that. Well, maybe, just maybe, you would want to do something like this. Now you're thinking like, what in the world is that? Why are you showing me space things? Well, it turns out this big hunk of rock is potential solution to all of our money problems. Well, maybe not all of our, but definitely those that are going to be flying into the space. So what is this? Let's find out. So not that long ago, NASA, hello, asked Tesla's Elon Musk, also SpaceX Elon Musk, to assist in a future space exploration mission of a gigantic giant. It doesn't say gigantic, it says giant, but I wanted to add things to it. Giant metallic asteroid called 16 Psyche. that contains trillions of dollars in rare metals. It's basically a massive object, measures 140 miles across it in previous observation, and is shown a dense metallic core of failed plant. So basically, it was supposed to be a plant. Some sort of something happened, and now it's just a giant rock floating out there in space. The asteroid is entirely comprised of iron and nickel, and it turns out that we are actually starting to experience some shortage here in the upcoming years on planet Earth. So going out there into the space to mine the rare metals and the precious metals as well is the future. So yes, this is actually going to be happening. I know it sounds like something coming out of science fiction. I mean, when I looked at this stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, are we gonna talk about like a Superman? Like what's going on here? Is this kryptonite? Like what's happening? But no, this asteroid, by some valuation, is coming at 10,000 quadrillion dollars. $10,000 quadrillion. That would make it a 10 quintillion dollars, right? So trillion, then you add three more zeros to get to quadrillion, then you add three more zeros to get to quintillion. So you can't even say this stuff. You can't even say this stuff. My calculator doesn't even have that space for that many zeros. But for comparison, the global economy in 2019, right, prior to the cerveza overflow, was worth about $142 trillion. So this puppy, whoever gets to this darn thing, is basically going to be worth way more than the entire global economy. Times, I don't know how many times, but many times. So that's the interesting things. Now, SpaceX and NASA prepare for an uncrewed mission to the asteroid in 2022, so about a year, a little bit over a year away, with the spacecraft landing on 16 Psyche in 2026. NASA and private corporations are in the beginning stage to start mining space. And this is very, very key and very, very important. And basically, it sounds like they're going to start with the moon because, well, it's the closest and we've been there a few times. They're like, it's just kind of going back to grandma's for lunch, right? So, except, you're going to go over there and see what grandma has in the house that you can bring home and resell to make, hey, times are tough. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, right? So that's basically what's going on. Now, here is where this is going to get very, very interesting, in my humble opinion. You can have your own opinion, and that's fine. I'm curious to know what you think. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comment section if you're not live, watching this live. You are live, just not watching this live. But, that actually makes potentially the deflationary prices of many things like iron and zinc and copper and silver and gold likely to start going down. So yes, I know they have been, for centuries around us, and I don't think that that's going to happen tomorrow. Clearly, they're getting onto this stuff, in the future, but that's what they're preparing to do. So now, as I'm starting to think out loud right here with you on this cold November morning, before we even know who the hey is the new president of United States, right? We're still counting the votes, and it's going to be a while before we know it. But I'm thinking out loud here with you of, you have a few different investment options, right? You can go to dollar, which, I still think it's going to turn into some sort of digital dollar, right? Like a cryptocurrency version of the whole thing. So that's one option. Bonds are another option. But if we go into changing our entire financial system long term, right, where money is not created out of debt, but it's right, like it's a different kind of creation, then bonds sort of become obsolete-ish as well. Then you have equities, which I think that slowly but surely those things are going to die and kind of go away. They're going to morph. It's not going to be the same thing. So that also becomes questionable piece, right? So now I've eliminated three things. Then we have real estate, which I think still is going to be a very lucrative potential, right? It just depends on where and depends on what, and it's going to be shifting over time. So real estate still kind of stays on the check mark for me, personally, right? Then we have precious metals. Well, if we're going out to the space and mining this stuff and bringing it in, and it's coming in like crazy, that means that the supply starts to increase, right? Demand potentially stays the same, right? Let's assume that it stays the same, but if the supply increases, that means that the prices start going down. That means in value, it's not as valuable as we thought it would be. So then that makes precious metals perhaps maybe not the best investment long term as well, potentially making it obsolete. And if it becomes something that it's like so much of it is mined, maybe nobody's interested in it. So not only does the supply go up, but the demand kind of dumps as well, making it even more obsolete. That eliminates that piece as well. And then what we're left is basically crypto. Crypto is brand new right now. We're still undecided, we're still deciding, we're still learning. Obviously, it's been in existence for about 10-ish years, 11-ish years, whatever, right? So projects are still developing, folks are still working on stuff. I know I'm working on stuff right now. So, developing different things, and super excited about that stuff, but this is not a show for it. So, then, that basically, if we take out the equities, the bonds, the dollar, because we don't really know what it is, right? But dollar could still potentially be it, and take out the precious metals, that really leaves cryptocurrency to be the major market. Now, is everybody going to go into Bitcoin? I don't know, potentially, but I think that different crypto projects are going to be sort of kind of like stocks, right? Where you're going to invest a little bit in Tesla, a little bit on Amazon, a little bit in, Disney, a little bit in Walmart, right? Coca-Cola or whatever it is that you want to invest in. Obviously, I'm throwing out random, most popular names that people have heard of. So you might do the same thing, and that's what people in crypto are doing right now. They have a chunk in Bitcoin, they have a portion in Ethereum, then they have some stuff in EOS, maybe they hold some, Tether or USDC or DAI. Maybe they have stuff in Ampleforth. Maybe they have stuff in, in REN or wrapped Bitcoin, or like all these different, energy web, link. And if I'm not mentioning a coin that you are particularly fond of, I apologize. I can't list all of them, but you see my point, right? And they, will start eventually to behave very interesting and very differently, with Bitcoin potentially being a very stable store of value, right? But this space looks like it's going to be one to implode. So that's exactly kind of where I am thinking, what I am thinking is going to happen. Is it going to happen in 2020? Absolutely not. Is it going to happen in 2029? Most like 2021, most likely not. Is it going to happen in 2020s? It's possible. Now, when we look at a 10-year period, then it's possible. In 2030s, that possible becomes probable. So we do have a little bit of time to kind of get ourselves situated for where the future is going. Because I don't want to invest. When I think about investing, not that you asked me, but I'm going to share with you anyways. When I think about investing, I don't necessarily think of investing for today, right? I'm not a trader. I don't go in and look at the candlesticks and, click buy, click sell, click buy, click sell, right? I don't look at that. I look at what is the big, they call it macro trend, right? Where are we going? Where the future is holding, right? That was the thing that when I decided first time to get into Bitcoin, I looked at that stuff. I studied a little bit of it. I thought I understood it, that I don't understand it, and I'm still trying to understand it. It's still morphing, and it's the most amazing ride that I have been on for quite a few years now. But I look at that stuff and I look at the future and say, where are we going? And can I get into position today so that, right, when the future comes, I'm there. I'm ready, right? It's kind of like, was it the Gretzky? I don't know. I apologize. I'm not really big on sports. I'll watch it, but like the names and stuff, same thing like movies. I'll watch them, but don't ask me the names of the actors. Like I can name maybe five. right? So, and even then, I have to use internet to find them, so to help me out. So, but right, like you skate where the puck is going, not where it's at right now. Same thing is like if I know that winter is coming, well, I'm gonna start bringing in the heaters and the big jackets before winter comes. I'm not gonna wait for negative 20 degrees to be like, oh crud, I'm in shorts. I need something longer. I need something warmer. So you gotta prepare yourself for what is coming. Now, is this a financial advice? Absolutely not. Do I know exactly what's going to happen? Absolutely not. My crystal ball broke years ago. I have no clue how this is going to play out. I am just literally thinking out loud of where I think things are going to go and how I think I'm going to position myself for the future. So, you do you, I do me, and then let's compare notes. Let me know what you think about my crazy thoughts. Now I want to talk to you about interesting happening in China. Jack Ma's Ant Group, right? So he's the Alibaba founder and stuff, which we talked about. Alibaba basically went down well over 8%. So it really dumped in the price because Chinese government has actually blocked the IPO for the Ant Group, and we're talking about $34 billion that is being blocked. So let's take a look and a listen just for a moment.
China putting the brakes on the world's biggest IPO. Ant Group's listing in both Shanghai and Hong Kong have been suspended. The Shanghai Exchange citing major issues, quote. For more, let's go to Hong Kong. Bloomberg's Asia investing editor Lulu Chen joining us now from Hong Kong. What do we know? What's going on?
Yeah, this is unprecedented. Right now, as of now, what we've been told is that the regulators are asking Ant for a regulatory revision of the company, that they went in, Jack Ma was called in for supervisory interviews by related agencies like the Central Bank and China Securities Watchdog. As for what it means for the IPO, both the Hong Kong and Shanghai leg has been suspended. What we've been told is that banks are giving back money to retailers, and if Ant wants to proceed with an IPO ever again in Hong Kong, they will have to relaunch a filing.
Why? Why is this happening now? And all we were talking about was how a big deal this was for China, how this was going to suck a lot of money into Chinese tech, how the decoupling was going to play out between the U.S. and China. Can you help me walk through the thinking as to why now this would happen?
Well, that is the billion-dollar question. On the optics, it does look very bad when you have the world's largest IPO locking in billions from global investors and getting halted on the eve. And to be honest, the sources we've been talking to, bankers have been blindsided by this as well. It seems that regulators are concerned about the systemic risk that Ant is posing right now, and they are asking the company to look further into clearing some of the systemic risks that they might pose to the financial system.
All right, well, there you have it. I'm sure that you can watch even more if you are so inclined and interested. But this is a very interesting piece, and I know you think that this only happens in China, but we've seen this in the United States, we've seen this in Europe. So it's not unheard of that the government sometimes steps in and blocks certain things. Mergers, acquisitions, IPOs. So when we start talking about cryptocurrencies and all of that stuff, people always say, well, the government is going to come in and block it and stop it. Well, yes, they can, absolutely can. Look, they do that with all kinds of stuff. I mean, they can tell us, they can shut us down, right? And they're doing that. If 2020 has not taught you anything, is that their arms are far and reach. I mean, they have a reach, and they can do a lot of different things, right? So yes, could they potentially shut down crypto? Absolutely. Will they? I have no clue. I don't think so, because it's impossible to shut it down. How do you shut down something that is decentralized and it lives on every computer all over the world? I don't know how you do that, because the beauty of the blockchain, right? For non-technical folks like me, right? And maybe I'm getting too technical now as well, so who knows? But right now I'm still, I'm a techno baby, if we're, techno newborn. I know like two lines of code. So like, I don't know that I would call myself technical or techie or any of that stuff whatsoever. I'm learning. But think about it, right? Like if, you know, it's kind of like if you had all of your money in one bank, right? And let's not assume that it's a giant bank like JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America or anything like that. Let's say that it's some sort of small community bank that, has like one branch in your little village, right? Let's assume that all of your money, say that you have $1 million, all of your money is inside that one bank. If that one bank does something wrong or gets robbed or whatever, which talking about bank robberies, I have funny news for you at the end of the show, so stay tuned. Um, right, then all of your money kind of goes away. But if you have, say $100 in that bank and $100 in another bank and $100 in another bank and $100 in another bank, and now you spread your $1 million over hundreds of banks, losing one bank doesn't matter. I mean, sure, you lost $100, but on the overall big scheme, does it matter? No. This is how Bitcoin operates. This is how blockchain operates. This is how crypto operates. That it has very small portion of like over the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands potentially even by now, computers all over the place. Now they call them nodes, but they're basically computers. They're computers, right? They might not have a screen, but they're still a computer, right? Like just because you can't see what's going on doesn't mean that it's not doing stuff. So it's a computer that is running and it's all over the globe. So sure, can a government shut it down somewhere? Absolutely. That doesn't shut down everywhere around the world. So it's still running and operating somewhere. That is the beauty of this whole thing because it can't be changed without everybody knowing. It can't be stolen. It can be broken into and it can be shut down. That is the beauty of the whole thing. This is why people get so excited about things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, right? Speaking of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, let's take a look at what's going on with the prices. Let's refresh so we get the brand new, fresh prices. Ooh, look at this. While we started to talk, so we started to talk right around 7-ish, right? We were at 13,500 something in Bitcoin. We've gone up almost $250 since then. So right now, Bitcoin is trading at $13,748.09. Thank you very much. And it's up 1.7% in the 24-hour period. Now, ETH is at 382.25, up 0.8%. When we scroll kind of down, there's a lot of stuff in the red, few in the green. Again, it's kind of like divided. Right now, it's like a voting mechanism that is happening between the Sleepy Joe and Trumpster. Same thing is happening over here. So, what one thing that is kind of interesting about Bitcoin is that it keeps kind of going to that 14,000 and kind of come back down to 13. So we're still trading in that channel of about 13,500 to 14,000. So 13,500 to $14,000. We're still trading within that channel. We've been going a little bit sideways, and that's very exciting, very interesting, and very, very good. This is very healthy. So let's go into the chart briefly to kind of take a look at this. When I see this sideways action after we've done some pumps, this is very exciting for me. So 30-day chart, you go sideways, then you go up. You go sideways, but even this sideways, it's not true sideways, right? You can see, let me move my cursor. You can see, let's see if we can do this. Please hold. Let's see if we can. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But you can see that there's a down right here, the low down here, the double low over here, which is quite bullish, double low over here, and here's another low. So what can you see about these lows? Well, they're going higher, right? Now, let's take a look at the highs. You have a high over here, high over here, high over here. There's a little high over here and a little high over here. What can we see about the highs? Well, they're also going higher. Now, what do we know or potentially may know about it? The definition of a bull market, right? And bull market is the up and up, is higher highs and higher lows, right? And that is exactly what we have here. So you have this beautiful hand-drawn channel, which is awful. That is not how you do this, technically speaking, right? You don't want to hand draw, but you can see it, right? You can see it very clearly when we point it out. And so when something goes up and then sideways, this is a consolidation period, and this is very, very good, because when it goes up this way, then the next step is this. But when it goes up like this and then kind of slows down, and then it goes up like this and it slows down, that's a very, very good thing. And I think you already know that because I cover this rather often on this channel. So I am still very excited about Bitcoin. I think it still has a lot of momentum, a lot of movement, a lot of beautiful things. When we zoom out the 90 days, look, this chart is absolutely beautiful. When I come over to the 180 days, it looks still quite beautiful to me. 1 year is very pretty. You can see very clearly the channel of where it's going. And then when I take the whole thing, which, might be a little bit much, so maybe we can kind of do something like this, right? So we can take it from the 2017 kind of high and stuff. You can see we had a high, and now we have this beautiful U formation, which lets me know bull market is here, baby. Now, are we going to hit 20,000 by the end of 2020? I don't know. Probably not. Might it happen in 21? Maybe. 22? Almost guaranteed. Now, again, can't guarantee. I can't promise. Not a financial advice. Not a legal advice. Not an accounting advice. Not a medical advice. Not an advice. I have no clue how things are going to work out long term. All right. Because I don't have any clue, let's talk about a couple of things that I do know about, which is stuff that's been reported that already happened, and that can actually help us along the way. So, what's going on? Standard Chartered undertakes first cross-blockchain trade transaction between Hong Kong and mainland China. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. So, a milestone by completing a first cross-blockchain trade, so two blockchains that are going to be working together. Trade finance pilot transaction between Hong Kong and China. This is huge. So Standard Chartered Hong Kong plans to eliminate a lot of manual paperwork involved in trade and trade finance transactions that could take days or even weeks to complete. This is part of the challenge that we are seeing when we go internationally. I just recently was actually writing on my blog, which you can find on onedealaway.com. So if you just go to the main page, it's right over there. It pops up right away. But I was just writing about my challenges of the cross-border international. I have family in Europe, and so we're trying to figure out, like, how do we do certain things that make sense to do when you have family, right? Like giving each other access to the bank accounts, because, we're aging, we're getting older. We lost our parents. And so it's just us. And so we're trying to figure out, like, how do we help each other? How do we support each other? And you just can't. You can't, because it's nearly impossible to do stuff. Now, if we were both in Europe or both here in US, then we could. But because we are an international family, it makes it impossible to do this stuff legally, right? And we want to do it legally. I don't want to go illegally. I want to go legal, legit ways, and it's nearly impossible. So I've been blogging about that stuff, and we're researching stuff, and it sounds like crypto might save the day for us in this case scenario. So this is absolutely huge because it takes forever. It's very expensive. It's very clunky. It's very slow. And it's not very transparent. So a lot of things can be lost in translation, so to speak. The bank sees the blockchain-based solution as game changers, as they have significantly boosted cross-border trade transparency, security, and efficiency, and might I add, likely reduced costs. Because, I can send crypto to my family in Europe, excuse me, in a matter of minutes, right? So when I press send button over here, depending on how congested the network is and all of that stuff, it could take as short as few minutes to maybe like an hour, maybe a couple hours if it's really, really, really congested. And it might cost me, a few cents, maybe a couple of bucks to send any amount of money to them whatsoever. Now, if I needed to send money through a bank wire, for example, well, I would have to fill out the paperwork with the bank. Many of the banks I would actually have to go personally, although nowadays you can fill it out and fax it, but most of us don't really have fax machines. So you still kind of have to figure out how to do that piece, right? Thankfully now, because of the technology, this puppy actually is amazing. Most people don't know I can do a lot of business on this thing. This is what I need. I have bought homes, sold homes, faxed money, faxed documents, signed documents, done bank transfers, and everything and anything else just with this thing. So this is the most amazing piece of technology that we have. Most people don't use it correctly. I mean, they use it correctly. They just don't use it for everything that it could be used for, right? They were like, oh, I don't have that. I'm like, you have a smartphone. You have it. Like, it's just a matter of an app, okay? But anyways, so, I can go in, to the bank, fill out the paperwork, send the bank wire. It's going to cost me, international is going to be about 25 to 50 bucks, depending on the bank to bank. And sometimes on the receiving end, there's a cost. So it could be 25 to about 35, 40. I've seen as high as 50 bucks on one bank, and then it could be on another bank. So it's going to cost me on the low end, say 25 bucks to send money over, and it's going to basically take a couple of days, right? It's not going to be overnight, and it could take as long as a week for a bank wire transfer. Yes. So this is huge. This is one of the problems that the crypto and blockchain are solving. This is why I'm so bullish on it, aside from everything else that we've discussed just moments ago earlier in the show. Now, here's another thing that is also interesting, that we've talked about some of the coins and stuff. So you want to be careful when you're going in, because privacy coins are going to start being banned everywhere. And we're seeing South Korea starting to do it. I think United States will do it. I think Europe will do it. I think the world will do it. This is going to become the dark coins, and nobody's going to want them at all. So what is happening? South Korea Financial Service Commission will ban privacy-centric digital assets or dark coins from crypto exchanges because they present high money laundering risk. And, this is just an evolution. You can like it, you can hate it. It doesn't really matter how you and I feel about it. This is the future. This is how it's going to be happening. The effects will likely impact popular privacy coins like Monero, Zcash, and Dash, anticipated to be in effect by March 2021. So this is coming, and it's coming fast, and mostly it's becoming because, this anti-money laundering and know your customer policies, which is all these banking laws and financial security laws that are coming out there. Again, you can like them, you can hate them, you can have your own opinion. I'm just telling you, this is what's coming. It's coming, and there's no going around it. So if we want the bigger crypto adoption, this is just what is going to happen. And one of the sort of pain points that we're all going to have to live with. In September 2019, cryptocurrency exchange OKX, Korean arm, delisted 5 privacy altcoins, including Monero, Dash, Zcash, Horizon, and Super Bitcoin, in compliance to the travel rule of the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. We've talked about FATF on the show in the past. So if you want to, you can of course look it up, or just go to Money Matters show, go to YouTube channel, right? You will find it, and you can learn all about FATF and all of the travel rules and everything else that we have been talking about. But this is going to be happening more and more and more. So I don't. Again, you can do as you wish. I don't know that I would be going in and investing in these coins. And now, final piece that I wanted to share with you is blockchain is going to be benefiting from the SEC upward review on fundraising limits on small, medium-sized enterprises. This is amazing. We've been talking about it. We focused quite a bit on real estate side of the things with this change, but there's additional pieces here that are equally as important to crypto, and this is very, very exciting for me personally. both from the real estate perspective, but also from the technology perspective. And if you know anything about me, watching me, paying attention, know anything about the businesses, you know that I am working on both in addition to the education, because I truly believe that is where the future is. SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission, has announced a review of a fundraising limit for small and medium scale businesses. Now, which also includes funds raised through initial coin offering by blockchain companies. The amendments seek to help small businesses to access more capital, raise the funding limit Regulation A from 50 million to 75 million, and Regulation crowdfunding, which is what we covered when we talked about the real estate limit, was also raised from 1.07 million to $5 million. The SEC also increased the Rule 504 offering limit from 5 million to 10 million. This is huge and amazing and very, very exciting. Now, you might know about Hester Pierce, which is also known as Crypto Mom. But anyways, she's been promoting the growth of cryptocurrency companies and advocates policies that help with that. Besides the recent move to increase the capital raising limits by SMEs, and the SEC back in February submitted the draft of a proposal seeking to give blockchain and crypto firms about 3-year exemption from the United States securities laws. This would be huge because a lot of times when you have to comply with these laws, what ends up happening is that you have you have to hire attorneys, you have to hire accountants, you have to go in and find all these companies that are going to back you and file all of these papers and stuff, and that costs a lot of money. A lot of money. We're talking tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars to get under all of these legal stuff. That is a huge barrier to entry, and it poses a lot of compression into this new technology. With this sort of pause in this particular thing, they're saying, go do what you need to do, and then, you have 3 years, hire the people, raise the money. Now that you have the money, hire the attorneys and the accountants and all the programmers and all the smart people to help you continue to grow, to continue to develop, to continue to solve these large, big, huge problems that exist, that this is what this thing is solving. And I don't even want to bother you with the amount of problems and headaches that we keep running into with our tech. It's day after day. There's a problem after a problem. You solve one, there's 10 more coming your way. And it's been an uphill battle for sure. I can assure you of that piece. But so they're saying you have 3 years, get your money, do what you need to do, get into the compliance, get into the all of the stuff, and then let's get you going. And this is beyond exciting for me personally. The SEC has earlier made ICOs more inclusive by modifying its definition of an accredited investor to take account of not just an individual's wealth, but also their education to qualify for investing in cryptocurrency ICOs, as well as mainstream capital market offerings. So again, this is very, very, very huge and very, very, very important. And in final piece that I wanted to share with you here is a bit of funny. Now you're thinking to yourself, why in a world, Nev, are you showing me a guy going down the manhole? Clearly it's a construction job. No, it's a bank robbery job. Bank robbery job. That's right. Here is what happened in Italy, Milan. This is where we're going. Cross the pond. 2 robbers walk into the main entrance of Credit Agricole branch in Piazza Accoli in Milan. So, it sounds like a joke. 2 robbers walking into the bank, right? And then 2 more members of the gang emerge from a manhole inside the bank that connects to an underground tunnel. So then, basically, they used the underground tunnel. They basically used sewers to break into the bank, rob it, and run away. How interesting. Speaking of Europe, I do want to reach out not just to Europe, but also to the folks over in Middle East as well. There's a many uncertainties and shootings and stabbings and bombings and crazy stuff happening. My heart goes out to the folks. I know that the politics of today is that anger is acceptable. Beating and killing somebody who doesn't see your point of view clearly appears to be acceptable, but I disagree. I think there's better ways to solve problems, Hate doesn't erase hate, it only grows it. Love is the only thing that can erase it. That's just my personal opinion. And, when you are sitting there thinking, well, what the hell do you know, Nab? You're sitting in a nice, warm, cushy apartment in New England and enjoying your day recording this stuff. I assure you that I do know. I have lived through the civil wars. I have lived through, violent beatings. I have lived through many, many violent things that I'd rather not talk about publicly because it's not anybody's business. And yes, hate, hate is easy when that happens. Figuring out how to love people even after all of that happens, that's that requires a lot of power, a lot of energy, and so that is what I want to leave you with. So maybe that is the thought for the day. Learn to love what you hated the most up until now. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you give me thumbs up. And join me tomorrow live at 7 a.m. We're about to go into the live Q&A for everybody watching. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away.